Hello, and welcome to another Core Brands podcast episode. Today is a guest episode, and I have the pleasure to have on the show Niamh Moynihan. Niamh is a previously and should I say current client, because we keep collaborating every year. And she is the founder of Better Workday and host of the Better Workday podcast. Niamh is known for her engaging workshops, courses, keynotes, and online sessions that transform how professionals approach their workday. She has helped so far over 3,000 employees to date. Niamh wants to bring the joy back into work. Her approach goes beyond improving organization and productivity levels. She also possesses a remarkable ability to understand people, boost their confidence, and ignite their self-motivation, all while guiding them to rediscover meaning in their work through simple, actionable steps. You're going to witness now, Niamh's energy is just contagious. So let's welcome Niamh. Hello, Niamh, and welcome to the Core Brands podcast. How are you today?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm very good too. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time to be here on the podcast with me. We've known each other for a couple of years now, and when I decided to put the podcast together, you were one of the first names that came to my mind. So I am very grateful that you said yes straight away. So thank you.
Oh, well, I was delighted because, as you know, I'm a huge fan of yours. So anything I can do to help the Core Brand podcast, I am delighted to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so without many more introductions, I'm going to go straight into my icebreaker question. I always like to start, because I think it's a fun way for the listeners to know a little bit more about yourself. So if you had the chance to have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who those people be?
You know, this question for years, I couldn't answer it. I couldn't answer it because I'm not really into pop culture and stuff. And so in the past, I always stumbled. But this time I actually have an answer. So I'm delighted. Okay. So my 3 people are Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. And now she has that new brand Sneaks. Taylor Swift, and my nan. My nan, because she lived until she was 95. She died when I was a teenager. She lived until she was 95 in her own home, a little bungalow across the road from our house, was totally independent. And when she started to have a few falls and stuff, she went to bed one night and slipped away. And I know, it's fabulous. So I plan to copy her approach to long living, and I'd love to have her at the table with those 2 women. So they're my 3.
Amazing. And I love to know that you're Swiftie as well.
Well, I just think she's a phenomenal businesswoman and so talented, so creative. And she's on my vision board because I love how she does her stage work, how she, inspires people and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, let's go for it,
Yeah, I love her. And kind of like my goal is to be the Taylor Swift of branding. That's kind of like my career goal.
We're so aligned. We're always so aligned, Roberta, even when it comes to the Swifties.
Love that. That's great. So, if we think about Better Workday, your company, do you want to maybe tell us a little bit the story that led you to, build and set up Better Workday, and any challenges you may have faced in the beginning?
Yeah, so we'll keep it brief because otherwise the podcast will go on for days. My background is in project management and operations, so I spent 14 years in the tech sector. And because I'm very ambitious, very career driven, I would have burnt out a huge amount. And I was kind of okay with it, to be honest. I just go for a promotion I wasn't ready for, not at all qualified for. And then I'd overwork to prove I could do it. And then I'd burn out and I'd recover and I'd do it all again. And I'm not being kind of loose about that. I'm just saying at the stage of my life, it was okay.
Yeah.
But over the years, people kept coming to me, asking me for career advice and asking me how to, go for a promotion or be more successful in work. And so I was giving out this kind of advice to friends and family. But I was working in a software company and somebody came up to me and she was very bright. Oh, she has so much potential. She's just one of these fire starters of a young person, and you can just see she can go so far. And she asked me, Niamh, how can I work more like you? And I was like, oh no, that's not a good plan. You don't want to work more like me. I work 14-hour days and I check my email at 2 a.m. when I can't sleep. So no, this is not a plan. So that's where Better Workday came from. I decided to take all of the stuff I know about performance, efficiency, high productivity, and try and put it into a structure where it can be a good foundation for people to be more successful in the long term, and to become a better role model, really, and to kind of break that cycle. So it started out as just a side hustle in 2019. I was on maternity leave and I was bored 4 months in, and I went to a start your business workshop with the local enterprise office. And from there, that's where I came up with the program for the Better Workday workshop. And then I would have grown it alongside my corporate role for a few years. So when I went back to work, I went down to 4 days a week. Then after my second child, I went down 3 days a week. And then eventually, when the business was gaining enough momentum and I felt I couldn't do everything, I quit the day job and moved Better Workday into a limited company. The biggest challenge is I have 2 children. They're now 5 and 3. So they were 2 under 2. There was COVID. There was, limited childcare. There was the tendency to try and do it all yourself. All the usual challenges of starting a business. But I just love it when people find a new way to work. Like when you get to make such a positive impact in people's lives, you can't give up. You kind of have to find another way to do it. So it wasn't straightforward by any means, but it's not too bad now. We're in the toddler phase, the late toddler phase of the business, and it's not too bad now.
Yeah, you're flying. Like, I really see you as an example. I think you are phenomenal and you're really, really flying. So yeah. And now, like, you just touched a little bit on the children and having young kids. How do you bring the same joy you bring to the workplace and to these people? How do you bring the same joy then back into your home life, into your personal life? How do you balance that?
Well, balance, I think, is an interesting word, because balance is not a fixed position. It's constantly moving, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I'm more on a tightrope, than this kind of scales that we see. It's a very fine balance. But, I listened to, or rather I watched a TED Talk a number of years ago. It was called How to Plan for the Very Long Term. And what I loved about it was he had this idea that you don't have to think about your children as much as you think about your grandchildren, because the way that you raise your kids shapes them, and that will shape how they raise their children. And I just think that's a really nice way to think about how small moments in your day can create such a beautiful ripple effect for the generations to come. So when it comes to balance at home and with my work, I just try to keep that in mind and focus on the really important stuff at home. Which would mean, for example, my daughter Emily, she does small work with me at the end of a work day. So when I'm doing my admin, she comes up and she colours on the iPad next to me. I take a good 2 hours off in the middle of the day when James comes back from ECC before he goes to my mom's. And you just find that space. And I also let go an awful lot of other things in my life so that I'd have room for my family and my business. So, for example, I don't deep clean my house every other week. I'm like a minimum viable housekeeping type of person, because you can't do it all. And also small things like I didn't invest so much time in things like fashion and beauty and other things, which I know I can come back to when I have more space when the kids are older, but I don't want to be spending my time on that now when I can be spending it on the kids or the business. So just to kind of wrap that all up for you, I made pretty sure I know what my priorities are. Time with the kids and my family, my husband included, time with my friends, time with my business, and then all the other stuff, honestly, it's not as important to me right now. And that's how you balance it,
Yeah, and
Oh, yeah.
I feel that as well, like in my own life. Like what you were saying, your daughter comes to you and she colors like for a couple of hours next to you. Like my daughter, she's 12 years old, so she's in secondary school first year. So she comes over to my desk and she sits and she studies. And it's great because I can still help her without going upstairs or downstairs when she calls me. Like she's just right beside me and we can find time to spend together. It's quality time and she will remember those times as well, which is great.
Well, I'll tell you this, I'm working since the age of 11 because I had a family business, and I still remember two massive memories from my childhood. First of all, I'd go into the back office and my dad would be doing the wages. And back then there was no computer systems. So he'd have this really big long sheet. It would take up the whole desk and he'd be filling in all the numbers, like the hours worked, the rate, the tax and all this stuff. And he'd have the ruler and I'd be helping him double check the numbers. And then I remember I'd go into AIB in Patrick Street, and in my school backpack, I'd have bags and bags of coin because I'd be going to lodge the cash.
Yeah.
You know, and those experiences, well, they shaped who I am now. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're absolutely right. Like if you're a business owner, bring your children into the fold, allow them to see that you can do this and that they can do it. I just think it's a wonderful experience to give kids if you can, you know.
Yeah, it is. And it's also great inspiration for them as well to see, look, my mom can have, a bit of both worlds. Like she can be happy and successful in her business and she has a great home life as well. And we get to spend time together. Like it's not like she only sees me. Remember when she was little, I was dropping her in daycare at 7 a.m. and collecting her at 7 p.m. Like that's no life. And I'm sure there's many families doing that because they have to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so grateful that I'm in a different position right now.
And I think it's hard to do it. Like I'm not going to pretend that it's all rosy. It's definitely
No,
is
it's not.
difficult to make the decision to try and carve out your own business so that you can be around a little bit more for your children. But I think if we can do it and if we want to do it, it's great that there's those opportunities out there. But just on the topic of, them inspiring you, I'll tell you now with my daughter, how she describes what I do. So I asked her one day, I was like, so, she was being asked in school what her parents do. And my husband works in Striker on the manufacturing floor. So she said, my dad makes hips and he makes hip parts. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
And I said, what did you tell him I did? And she goes, oh, well, mommy goes on stage and goes on camera. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what? Like, what will people think of your mother? You know what I mean? Nothing about, I told him, I teach adults, I teach grown-ups how to work better so that they can be happier. No, she says, mommy goes on stage and makes videos. I was like, this is not good.
Well, yeah, I understand that. Like my daughter, she would either say, oh, my mommy is on Instagram all day.
Yeah.
Or the thing that makes me cringe the more is that my mommy makes logos. When I keep voicing that it's not just the logo.
That's your one thing that you always say, it's not just a logo, and there she is. Yeah.
Mommy does logos for businesses. And it's just like, no.
Well, look, they learn eventually, but for now, we'll have to let them off. Yeah.
So funny. And how do you feel about, now that we are on the topic of building a business and family, etc., there is a big buzz words and the big buzz around the hustle culture. How do you feel about that? Did you felt the need or the pressure to hustle when you started your business? I know that you started part-time, but then when you went full-time.
Yeah. So I think I think there's a lot of power associated with words and it's how you approach it. I am very ambitious and I'm very driven and I want my business to do well. And I do believe that if you want your business to get off the ground, you do have to do an awful lot of work at the start. Of course you do, because you're starting from nothing. And if you put in 4 hours a week and if you put in 40 hours a week, then that momentum is going to be completely different. But I think hustle means that you are doing it and sacrificing your well-being, you're sacrificing your relationships, you're sacrificing all those other things. So what I did at the start and what I continue to do is, because I don't work fixed 9 to 5 hours, I work a little bit in the morning, I work in the afternoon. When Steve's on nights, I work in the evening. I do a bit of work at the weekends, okay? Because that allows me to fit around the childcare. So remember, here's the pros and cons. And so because I do that, I've tracked my hours since the very beginning. So to make sure that, if I am working in the evening and if I am working on a Saturday morning, that I'm mindful of what it is I'm working on and keeping a tally on those hours. And at the start, even when I was working full-time or nearly full-time, I've worked about 26 hours in the business. And I felt that as long as that was intentional and planned and then stuff that mattered, it was fine. But if you're just like on the wheel, working for the sake of working, pumping stuff out without thinking, that's very dangerous. So I think it's more about how you approach it as opposed to the number of hours, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think tracking hours, it's so powerful and it's so underrated. I didn't track my hours for a very long time.
Mm.
And when I started tracking my hours, it was mind blowing. Like the
Yeah.
insights you have, where your time is going. And I was really going into the nitty gritty detail. Like I spent 45 minutes on the school drop. I spent
Yeah.
40 minutes, and I was like putting it everything and color coding everything. And then looking at the report by the end of the month. And I was like, I'm actually spending very little time on client work.
Yeah. Yeah.
This does not take me that long to create a full brand identity or, create a website. It's all of the tasks that I have on my day that are consuming that time. And for me, it was really eye opening.
And what I think it gives me as well is, so a lot of the time I just track the working hours. And then if I feel like life is getting too busy, I track from when I get up in the morning to when I go to bed at night. And I don't do that all the time. I just do it when I need to. And often it'll show me, first of all, maybe there is space there that I'm not using well. So
Yeah.
perhaps, I just dilly-dallied around the house for 2 hours when I could have gone for a 30-minute walk to clear my head and got a block of work done. But also sometimes it shows me that it's okay not to be perfectly productive all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's all right to have a little bit of wasted space. I think there's another big problem with people trying to be high performers 24/7. And sure, that's not normal. Like that's not sustainable at all. And if you try to be that, you're setting yourself up for failure straight away. So no, I think the time tracking is very good. And if you're starting a new business or if you're in the first 3 years of business, I highly, highly recommend tracking the time and categorizing, as you said, marketing, sales, delivery, admin, finance, and be mindful of your return on the investment of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then feel empowered with the insight and make better choices, or, redesign your day if it needs as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, that's great. And then in terms of your work, I know that you transitioned from a sole trader to a limited company.
Yes.
When did you know it was time to make that switch? How did you
Yeah.
feel about that?
So it was very practical for me, to be honest. As soon as I left my corporate role and I knew I was going to aim for figures that were going to make me eligible for paying VAT, that's when I said I was going to become a limited company. So it was very much, okay, it's no longer a side hustle, it's now a business, and I wanted to be a limited company. And then funnily enough, I'm much more comfortable being an employee in terms of like having your monthly salary, your pay slip and all that kind of stuff. The sole trader like always felt a little bit too loose and fluffy for me,
Yeah.
like you get your invoice, you'd have to try and divvy it up to look forward for your end of year tax return, and like, oh, that's just something I did not want to deal with. So I was like, I'll be a limited company and I'll outsource my payroll to a lovely company, SMB Payroll. And every month I'll email them and say, please pay me my salary. And I get my pay slip and my taxes dealt with straight away. And I just thought it was just so much easier because then I didn't have to worry about it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a little bit of laziness, actually, from that perspective. And also with the VAT registration, I didn't want it to be associated to me as an individual. I wanted to be linked to a business just for future freedom and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great insight. And it just shows as well that it's not laziness. You're just outsourcing a part of
I
your business that, you better off spending that time doing something that you're actually skilled and, more comfortable and happy
Yeah.
doing. And do you outsource any other parts of your business? Do you have a team, or are you planning growing a team?
So I've had a flexi team. I call them my dream team. You are part of it, as you know. So my dream team are a small network of people who come in and out of the business as needed. So I have yourself since the dawn of time, it feels, since the dawn of Better Workday anyway. I have a fabulous person, Grania Britton. She did copy for me for most of this year. She's working on another project now at the moment. She'll probably back me again. She's brilliant, like absolutely brilliant. My sister helps with the podcast, which is great. I have another wizardress on operations. So again, she comes in every couple of months and keeps my metrics and stuff on track. And obviously I've got my fabulous accountant, Fluent Accounting. You might know Paula. And who else do I have? SMB Payroll. So these people, yourself included, like they're never in my business all the time, but they're the network that I call on when I need a project done or if I need a bit of support or just a fresh perspective. And the only employee I have is my niece, Mary. She's 15. She did work placement this year, and
amazing.
she now helps me when I go and deliver keynote talks. She comes along and she takes photos and gains experience, and that's actually kind of lovely. Next year, I'm planning on keeping the same structure because it suits me, again, in terms of I don't have the capacity to manage a team. And I think if you're a manager or a business owner who has a team, you need to be able to support that team to allow them to thrive and be successful. And it would be irresponsible of me to bring people on if I don't have the capacity to help them grow into their full potential.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with the structure I have at the minute.
Yeah, very good. And that's kind of like ideal, isn't it? Like having like a network of people just close by to jump in when needed, and they're not trustful resources, trustful people. Yeah, I love that. And I have the same myself. And I think that for me at the moment, for my business model, that's what works best as well. So you almost answered my next question, which is what's next for Better Workday? What's next for Niamh?
Yes, and it's funny because I was all plans, as I think we all get like this, like, will I grow the business to gazillion euro? Will I go across all the continents? And then I was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to, mainly because like Emily's just in junior infants, James is still in ECCE, so it would undo all of this balance that I've created if I did that. So for 2025, I'm proud to say that I am doing nothing differently. And I'm focusing on improving what I already have and simplifying the process. So what that means is I've got 3 workshops that work really well. I need to refine those and make sure that they're more engaging. It's about refreshing the research that goes into my key webinars. And my online courses haven't been updated in a few years. And I usually use the insights from the live workshops into the courses then. So I'm actually going to do that over November, December. It's going to be a nice little update project. So everything will be the same, but version 2. And I think as a business owner, it can be easy to say, I must expand and I must do new offers and I must do new products. But that's not the case, because if you just focus on what you're good at and if you continually refine and improve that, that can pay way more dividends than getting magpie syndrome, I call it, and getting pulled in all different directions. And of course, I have the podcast. You know, I started a podcast this year and I'm planning on keeping that going, which is fun.
Yeah, and I love that. Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, no changes here. Yeah, just keep on doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, like in Portugal, I don't know if it translates in English. In Portugal, we have a saying that you don't touch the winning team. So if the team is already winning, you know, like if the business model is already winning, just it's a matter of optimizing it and updating whatever it's needed and just keep going. I totally believe that. There's no point of, oh, it comes January, I'm just going to revolutionize everything and change everything. There's no point.
There's not. Now, there is 1 or 2 mistakes I made this year that I'm going to correct for next year, now that we're kind of talking about that. So I did get caught up in that trap a little bit, and I spent some time creating webinars and stuff that weren't really in my wheelhouse. And they weren't to the standard I wanted. So next year, I'm really focusing more on making sure I know the other people in my network better that I can recommend. So if it's not in my space, that I can say, well, look, I know this person or this person. And the other thing is, if you're a business owner, I had so many experiments with pricing this year. I tried to do flexible or variable pricing, which would depend on, let's say, the size of the audience, customization, travel, all these different variables. It was in like a fancy spreadsheet, if you can imagine. And it caused me so much unnecessary stress and worry, because I plug the numbers in. I'm like, oh, but is that fair? Like, is that right? And I'd be second guessing it. And then I'd be giving one number to one person and one number to the other person. And I just felt, oh my God, no need for it. So 2025, back to fixed pricing. Nice and simple, keep it easy. And I think, again, if you're starting a new business, just be mindful of those traps. Don't overcomplicate things. Quite often they'll just give you unnecessary headaches.
Yeah. And I hear you, because I've been on the same kind of like trap as well. I started with fixed pricing and then I moved on to value-based pricing.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of time to me to write a proposal for a new client.
No need for it. Yeah.
And it's like, would they need this? Would they need it? So now what I have is pretty much a basic package for people that are just, 0 to 1 years old in business. And then a package that is, more comprehensive and includes more stuff. but it's the same price. Either you're coming to me, with the business from Dublin, or
Yeah,
you're coming to me with a business, Nike comes to me to do something,
it's the
it's going to
same.
be the same. Well,
And
maybe
I
I'll
think,
charge a little bit more for Nike.
yeah, maybe. And I think we can only do that with experience as well. Like, I mean, I know I wouldn't have been able to settle on 2025 pricing if I hadn't had the data over 23 and
Yeah.
24 to see, what worked and what I charge on average and all that kind of stuff. So I know you're not going to get it perfect from day one, but definitely to look at those elements like pricing, systems, offers, and just always ask yourself, how can this be easy? How can you keep it simple? Because
Yeah.
there's enough challenges without adding more onto your plate,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Niamh, we're nearly there, nearly finishing up. I want to ask you three quick tips you can give someone in the workplace they can implement straight away to make their day more joyful.
Okay, three tips.
Better Workday.
Okay, so first of all, don't bring your phone to the toilet. Okay, that's the first one. There you go. There's some places that work shouldn't go, and the bathroom is one of them. The second thing would be to decide on just one thing you want to do every day. So often we try to take on the world, but if you commit to doing one task and you get that done, you build your confidence in yourself that you can do things, that you move things forward. And the last thing would be to spend a few moments at any time of the day enjoying what you do. So just whether you're highlighting Excel cells or you're doing a brand, you're making a sales call, if you smile to yourself, if you're enjoying it, allow yourself that minute to go, oh, I like this part of my work. Because no one likes every element of your work, but if you're able to focus in on those aspects that you do like, it really broadens your enjoyment of the whole day. So they would be my three tips.
Love that, especially the third one. I really love that.
I knew that was a bit of you.
Yeah. It's so easy to get caught on the past and cringe at things that you've done, that you said that you didn't do because you couldn't, or even being caught on the future plans and things you want to do. But the past is gone, the future hasn't happened. Just live in the moment, I think, and enjoy the best you can, whatever you're doing, and give it your best.
Yeah, I love that. I always say embrace the good days and accept the other days, because there's no such thing as a perfect work day. Hence, it can only be a better work day. See what I did there? See what I did?
I love it. I love it. Okay, Niamh, so just to finish, do you want to tell our listeners where can they find more about you and about the Better Workday?
Yeah, perfect. So the main place you can find me is my website, which was designed by the wonderful Roberta, which is betterworkday.com. You'll find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at betterworkday.com. I'm Niamh Moynihan on LinkedIn, and tune into my podcast, the Better Workday podcast, to get practical tips on how to create a better workday.
Thank you so much, Niamh. It was such a pleasure to chat with you today, and have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening, and remember, every brand journey starts with a single step. You can find the episode details in the description, and if you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a review, share with your friends, and follow Core Brands Podcast to be notified of new episodes. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating.